And it's time now for our Ask the Mayor program, the program that comes your way every Thursday morning at this time as we welcome in Beatrice Mayor Bob Morgan back into our studios. Good morning, Mayor. How are you?
Dave, I'm doing fine. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing okay. The weather's starting to cool down a little bit here for us. And
you know, as I was driving here, I heard somebody that's in the studio mention snow.
Well, and that's a four-letter word I don't like, but who was that?
Well, I don't know, but it wasn't me.
Before long, we're going to be talking that. I know.
It's just been so nice as we've talked about the last, it does come to an end. And, the people that do have underground sprinkler systems, probably the next day or two would be a great time to drain them or have a plumber on speed dial.
Yeah. Not a bad idea. I don't know if Mr. Moore is getting things ready in the salt building or not, but I'm sure he's thinking about it probably.
That's one of the nice things about the nice weather. I mean, it has been nice weather, but there's been a few other days. They prep. They prep early. When this weather turns really cold, they'll figure out when they kind of need to put on the plows, and the salt, I'm sure, is already purchased and in place. So they're ready. I guess that's the nice thing about the experience that we have. For those guys, it's not their first rodeo, and they'll be doing a great job on the streets as they always have.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that is something. Yeah, I will always say, during the winter, we here in Beatrice, the city crews do an awesome job after a snow. I mean, you go to some other cities and you just shake your head like, wow, you really appreciate what our guys do.
You do. If you've lived in a couple of larger communities, they have a lot of rules about not moving snow until you get 4 to 6 inches. And I know at some point in time when I was teaching in Lincoln, there were days it was tough to get to work because you couldn't hardly get down the residential streets.
Yeah. So, but winter will be here before you know it. But in the meantime, we'll continue to enjoy the nice weather that we are getting. Boy, the other day, what was it, Wednesday? That was gorgeous. Wow.
It was.
Just beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, let's start off. We want to encourage folks, if you have a question, feel free to call us at 402-228-5923. Riley can jot your question down and pass it along to us here in the studios. That's, again, 5923. Let's start off here with some pretty neat news that came out just a couple of weeks ago. Landmark Snacks made a really nice announcement, didn't they?
Absolutely. The Lotmans, Chad, thank you very much for supporting Beatrice. They have a contract with, Chomps?
Chomps,
the beef jerky snack company. That will be a really, really nice addition to the industrial park. They're actually taking, I believe, some of the space out there on the new partial of the industrial park that we purchased a year or two ago. And it's great to see that industry. Number one, it thrives, and number two, it's great that we have Chad Lotman and the Lotman family that got a nice contract, and they're going to really keep boosting the city of Beatrice. So thank you.
I think it's 120 jobs or something, or maybe more than that. I think that will be added to this area. So wow, that's a big addition to our workforce.
It is. It's a good thing that we have a number of housing lots and developments that we can talk about a little bit later that we're getting hopefully put in place for maybe a number of those employees.
I haven't spoken to Chad. I don't know what their timeline is as to when they hope to get everything said and done and up and going. But
I'm not sure what their timeline is, but I know that they'll be moving right along on it.
We'll look forward to that addition to our community. That'll be great. All right. Speaking of different things, have a question from a listener. We'll pass it along here in just a bit. City Council did meet this past week.
We did.
And let's just kind of touch on the Dempsters issue.
Sure.
I know we have kind of touched on that before here, but on Monday night, you kind of you had that as one of your agenda items, didn't you?
We did. We had a public hearing because we applied for a Brownfield grant. There's very few grants that will take care of demolition of any old building, but Brownfield is one of those. We've worked really hard with our grant writers in Washington, D.C. to put together, I think, a very solid proposal. I think you heard from at the meeting, if you listen to it, the chairman of the Dempster building, Ted Fairbanks, gave a pretty good overview of where they're at. One of the things that our grants for $3,950,000 or somewhere in that range. That covers the front part of the building. That will cover about 7.3 acres, and that's roughly 15-acre lot. And so it's just the beginning of getting it all cleaned up, but if we would get the grant, at least it would take care of the main eyesore. And that is to do a complete job. That is to tear down the building, remove 2 feet of dirt, because that's where the contamination is if you're going to use it for a public space, and we can talk a little bit about the differences there. Okay. And then it's also then putting a cap on it, which is bringing in at least another 2 feet of clean soil so that anything that contamination that may be in there is covered and kept being in there. And then on that, then you can put in a layer of grass or whatever for a park. The rules are a little bit different when you take out, and that would be for the whole parcel. I mean, for the whole Dempster area. For the parcel that we've tried, we'll do that first, and then when we take care of the back half of the property, we'd have to dig down 2 feet and bring in another 2 feet of clean soil. So it will take a while to do that. There's 2 regulations that you have to pay attention to. Number 1, digging down 2 feet and putting a cap in will take care of all of the contamination if you're going to have it be an open green space. That could be a park, that could be soccer fields, that could be expansion of the dog park that's down there. But what you can't do is build an enclosed structure. So in other words, a bathroom, a concession stand, anything like that, you cannot build there unless you're willing to dig down that entire lot 15 feet and then bring in another 15 feet of soil. And my guess would be is because if it's in a confined space, you have that opportunity of maybe that contaminant coming up and not dissipating because it's in a small confined space. In the open park, if that contaminant, which shouldn't come up through that 2 feet, but if it does, it's going to come in the open air and be dissipated and gone. And so that's kind of the difference of why you got to go down either 2 foot or 15 feet. And 15 feet's a long way to go, and bringing in that fill dirt for that 15 feet, I think the proposal to do it just on the half that we applied for, if we wanted to go down 15 feet and bring 15 feet more, the price tag goes from $3.9 to $19 million. So,
wow, that's a huge difference.
That's a huge difference. Because when you do it for a brownfield grant, they make you go through 3 options. The first option is do nothing, which we can't really do nothing.
Right.
The second one was to make it a green space at the 3.9. And the third option was to try to build on it, which would be that $19 million. And that didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. And so that's where we centered on the 3.9.
Are you allowed then, like, maybe to put a picnic shelter in? Can you do that with a concrete no? Even though the shelter is not enclosed,
right? But the roof is.
But the roof is.
Yeah.
So you can't even do a shelter then.
The only thing I don't know if they can do or not is maybe they could put a pad and bring in food trucks or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah. The regulations, though, are pretty clear, and we're not going to violate those. But if you think about the bathroom and those type of things, the trailhead is not too far away from that. It's outside of the zone. There are some things you could do there.
Playground equipment?
Yep.
You can do that?
Yep.
Okay, we're okay with that.
Soccer, football.
Soccer is okay with that.
Dog park, expansion, any type of just green space recreational areas, we're okay.
Okay. Where does the soil then that you take out, where does the contaminated soil go to?
That is a great question that I
don't have an answer. Okay.
I think it may go someplace else. There's rules of what we can take out to the landfill and what we can't. And then there's rules also that, this sounds really crazy when you're talking about dirt, but then maybe we have to dig a hole and bury it and put dirt on top of it.
Okay.
So but that's a question I don't have the answer for.
Okay. Nope. That's fine. That's all right. I was just thinking, because that'll be a lot of dirt that you got to remove.
It will be.
So didn't know where that ended up.
Yeah.
But again, again, the goal here, it's going to be a safe place
Absolutely.
for the public to go to.
It is going to be a safe place. You don't have to worry about the contaminant, and that's why you put a 2-foot cap on top.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Again, the timeline on this, the grant-wise, with the government shutdown, is there anything going on right now, or do we wait and see on this one then?
It's going to be wait and see.
Okay.
It's due the end of this month. Mm-hmm. Now, whether they extend the timeline or not, I don't know, but we'll be ready if they don't.
Okay.
And I think typically on a brownfield grant, you might see the answer in May or June.
Okay.
And so that's going to take a little time. We've got a couple of grants that have been approved that we're still waiting for signatures on. Mm-hmm. The government shutdown has basically closed that off. And so once we get the government open, I shouldn't say once they get the government open, I'm sure we'll see a number of projects move forward.
Okay.
But you got to remember, it's like if you or I were at work for 35 days, our desk is going to have a lot of work on it when we get back. It's kind of like going on vacation for 10 days. You pay for it when you get back.
That first day back is always a killer, isn't it? No doubt about it. All right. Anything more on the Dempster that you want us to know? Otherwise,
I think the most important thing is to remember that it is only going to take care of half. That 3.9 is only going to take care of half the property. And then we can apply for another brownfield grant down the road, but it's just going to be a long process. I wish it was easy, but it's hard to just come up with out of our piggy bank $3.9 million.
And we have mentioned, before, where when you drive down 6th Street and you look over and you see Dempster, it's like, wow, big building, but it's a big piece of property.
It is.
There's a lot there, isn't there?
And there's a few unknowns. I mean, because, in the day, it was really a pretty modern building with a cafeteria in the basement and a locker space for employees to change clothes in the basement. So you've got to, when you say 2 feet, we also have to include we got to fill that in. So it's going to be more than 2 feet worth of dirt coming in.
Big project.
Absolutely.
Huge project. We will take a short break. When we come back, do have a question about city parking lots, and we'll talk a little bit about some housing developments in the area. It's 8:45 at KWBE, back on Ask the Mayor with Beatrice Mayor Bob Morgan. Did have a caller, a listener, ask about city parking lots. How often do they stripe the parking lots that are done by the city? Listener says she goes to work early in the morning in the dark, and when she comes out of work, it's all light, and she realizes she didn't park really well because the lines aren't that visible. And so she's just kind of wondering, just when it comes to city parking lots, how often do we stripe them and make sure we are parking correctly?
I mean, it's a great question. I don't have an answer for,
okay.
But I do know it's probably on some type of routine schedule. Mm-hmm. We'll pass that along to the streets department to see if they can do a drive-through of the different parking lots, decide, what needs striped and what doesn't. So
I know they do kind of a schedule on the streets down with that.
They do. So I would guess it's on a schedule.
Yeah.
I probably not nearly as frequent as your roads where you needed a little more for traffic, but a good observation that we'll pass along.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Let's talk a little bit about housing developments. Speaking of the city council meeting the other night, you did adopt a plan modification for the Beatrice Commons housing project, didn't you?
Yes, we did. This is a new housing development that's going down. I guess the best way to describe it is it's near the YMCA. It would be across the road and a little down further to the south where you'll see some open space. They're going to start. The group that's putting it together. It's got 2 different types of buildings. One is going to be an apartment building that I believe is about 35 units. That one will be, I believe, 55 plus, and I do believe it is going to be targeted for a little bit lower income folks to qualify to live in those apartments. And then around the outside of that apartment, they're going to have a plan for, townhomes, which would be about 15, but by the time you multiply that, you've got about 30 spots there. Those will be market rate townhomes. And I think the best way, if people say, well, what are they going to look like? I think a lot of them, they're going to look like what happened with Excel Development at the hospital.
Okay.
And that turned out to be a really nice development through Excel. Mm-hmm. And so that plan there is going to bring us some substantial housing that I think, as we've said before, is a need for the community to grow.
And you said that's going to be south of the Y, or
it'll be to the west, to the east and the south.
East and the south.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Time-wise, what are we looking at here?
Oh, I think they'll break ground this spring.
Think so?
I don't think they'll get anything done now, but I think they'll break ground this spring.
Okay. Speaking of housing developments, how's the other two housing developments coming along? Well, they're moving right along, it looks like.
I think you'll see Corral Crossing buttoned up and done by the end of this month. They're a little bit behind. I think when the construction company counted their rain days, Corral Crossing had 30 rain days. And basically that's a month. And they're about a month behind on Corral Crossing. Mm-hmm. If you look at Heritage Heights, they're a little bit further behind. I think the idea was that they were going to be working at both sites about the same time. I think for whatever reason, they've decided to finish up Corral Crossing and then move to Heritage Heights. I think that Heritage Heights will, it's going to depend on Mother Nature. If it gets too cold, you can't pour concrete. Yeah. So the timeline on that one will either be December-ish if we have a good December, or we're going to have to look at maybe going into April. Okay. It just depends on what Mother Nature gives us and how they work through that.
All right. Well, between Beatrice Commons and those two housing developments and the old Paddock Kensington, we're adding a lot of places for people to live.
I believe when I calculated up, it's about 189 lots. I'll use the word lot, okay. But 189 spots. Then that means that's probably more than 189 people if you think about families. And so that's going to open up. And you got to remember, it's not all going to happen at once, especially when you build at Heritage Heights or you build at Corral Crossing. But it does give the opportunity for 189 living spaces.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, a great improvement for, again, as we've talked. This really sets us up as we move forward into the future. But you won't see it tomorrow 100%. But, 10 years from now, you're going to see a whole different look, especially at Heritage Heights and at Corral Crossing.
I'm anxious to see how that all just comes out, because it's going to be different. Yeah. I think it's going to be really different. So
it is. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Speaking of those housing, let's talk a little bit about 19th and Lincoln. I saw City Crew guys where that house was. Mm-hmm. Looks a little different today.
It does. I mean, it's one of those things. We bought the lot. Mm-hmm. Somebody bought the house and moved it not very far.
Not very far.
But it also then needed to have sidewalk redone, which we've done. And it will probably be a green space. As you look at planning 10 years down the road, you never know what that intersection is going to be. People say, oh, well, we're getting ready to put a roundabout in, and that's not true. We're not ready to put a roundabout in. But if that should happen 5-10 years down the road, at least the spot is there. And as you look at how we designed Heritage Heights and then that lot, you could put a roundabout in there that would have very little impact on the other neighbors in that neighborhood. So it's just a matter of planning of how do you use that space 10 years from now.
Yeah. But for now, it's just going to be
a green space. That's a lot better than building something there and then 10 years somebody's got to tear it out.
Tear it down. Makes sense.
Yep.
In fact, I know you got your 1 and 6 year street plan coming up here soon at a city council meeting, and there is no roundabout on that plan.
I do not believe there's a roundabout on that one. I'll double check, but okay. I don't know. I don't think that is on there. That goes to the Board of Public Works. I think the next time they meet on a Wednesday, and then they will forward it on for us to take a look at that second meeting in November.
Okay. Let's take one more break. We'll come right back, have more with Mayor Morgan. It's 8:53 at KWBE. Back to Ask the Mayor in our final few minutes with Beatrice Mayor Bob Morgan. We got a question that was called in here. A listener is asking Mayor, at the recycling area, where does the miscellaneous loader go to? I'm not for sure. Miscellaneous loader.
The only thing I can think of is maybe he's talking about the dumpster that puts in not cardboard, but other items, miscellaneous items that can be recycled.
Okay.
I think the point that I want to say there is typically that one will go to our place where it gets sorted and bundled for the people that buy our recycling and then hauled off. It is not a place for trash or things that are not recyclable. Those would have to go out to the dump or landfill. You got to remember the right terminology. They would have to go out to the landfill. The landfill will take your trash or your larger items out there. There is a fee, and there's a couple places to dump it. So if it's the dumpster, that goes to the recycling place and bundled up and sold. The one thing I just want to stress again, because we've had a lot of issues with the recycling, is we don't want you to take down what would be considered normal trash. Some of the things I've seen is some chairs that they've just thrown behind it and those type of things, because as you know, we try to make recycling at least as friendly as we possibly can, but when we start getting a lot of trash down there, it really just adds to the labor of that project. So if it's the dumpster, which would maybe be the loader, that will go to our recycling center, and it should be recyclable items only.
Okay. All right. We hope that answered the question there for the listener. We appreciate their question, and hopefully that was the answer they were looking for.
Right.
So as we get ready to wind things down, we have some company coming to town this weekend, don't we?
We do. This is the weekend that I think Main Street has their Governor's Pheasant Hunt. Mm-hmm. I believe Governor Pillen is coming down for that hunt, as well as a number of other dignitaries. I know Senator Ricketts hunts in that a lot. Great exposure for the city, great exposure for our downtown and our Main Street. But it's also just been a good fundraiser and a good way to get a number of people into the community. Typically they have 20 or 25 teams, and of 4 or 5, I don't remember which. But if you have 25 teams of 4, that's 100. So there's some economic gains there as well as exposure. And as we move forward with our projects to revitalize the downtown, having people come in and take a look at some of the small steps we've taken, like on 4th and 5th Street, and the excitement to talk about revitalization with the RAISE grant, it's really a great opportunity. Plus, it's really a great opportunity for us to showcase one of the blessings of being in Gage County, because they are going to be hunting in Gage County. We thank those folks. I believe there's a number of farmsteads that have supported that for a number of years. But again, that has always been a recreational tool for the county of Gage County, and it is one of our resources and it is one of our assets. And so between tying in Main Street with Gage County, it's just that nice, strong reminder that Beatrice is part of Gage County, and we need to work together to succeed.
A long-running event. I would have to ask Rick Clayball this, but boy, how many years has that been going? That's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, and I think if you thank the farmers, you thank Main Street. I think the other thing that you really need to do, Rick Clayball has put a lot of time, energy, and effort into the pheasant hunt and has made it successful because he's one of the ones that's had a lot of connections to find the places to hunt. He's got a lot of the connections with, the governor and some senators and other dignitaries that'll be coming in to hunt. So he's worked diligently for a number of years, and it really has paid off with a very nice event for the city.
We thank him, and we welcome all those that are coming in. Like I said, all those teams, I'm sure the hotels are probably booked. So
I would guess so.
I would guess so. Speaking of thank you, we have Veterans Day coming up next Tuesday, Mayor.
We do.
Yeah.
I think it's just very, very important to thank all the veterans, and you have my thanks. I guess you could say in the United States right now, it's about as unsettled as I've seen it from a political standpoint. And I think sometimes we lose the value of the veterans because the veterans have kept the United States to be a free democracy. People have the freedom of speech. And we really have to thank clear back in World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, and all the conflicts that we've had. We have had a number of people that have dedicated and given up their lives to protect the freedoms that we now have. And I just don't want to lose sight of that with all the things that are going on. When you have all the different protests and all those other things, we just have to stop and say, you know what? We had a number of young men and women who have sacrificed their lives so that we can do what we do. And I just want to say thank you for all you do as a veterans, and thank you for those that are serving in the military today. And it's just an important holiday where we take time out and thank them, because without them, we may not have the same country that we have today.
Very well said. And we will have folks in from the Veterans Office tomorrow morning at 8:30. We're going to talk about the programs that are all scheduled for next Tuesday. I know they're going to be having that program at the high school. We would encourage folks to come on out and be a part of that.
Absolutely. So. It's, I say that because I truly believe that. You can probably go clear back to the Revolutionary War, how it's really helped our country. I was very thankful that my father was in World War II and fought over in Germany. Special meaning for me. I have a son who's been in now for 16 years, and if you've never had anybody that you've been around that have been in the military, 16 years, 7 deployments, and 8 moves, it's a big sacrifice for him and his family. And so he's not alone. There's a lot of people that think about the ones even here that in our National Guard unit that get deployed and are gone from 9 months from their family. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
With that, we will wrap it up, and we encourage you, again, to attend the Veterans Day ceremony program next Tuesday, either at the high school or any of the small communities around the area.
Absolutely.
So, Mayor, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
Go and enjoy the day, all right?
All right.
All righty. This has been Ask the Mayor on KWBE. Let's join ABC News. This is KWBE Beatrice.